We're about to enter a dietary twilight zone, a restaurant that makes the potentially harmful nature of its food a selling point.
There are no healthy choices.
Health advocates say the restaurant should be shut down.
So when a customer was stricken there while eating a 6,000-calorie burger, some patrons thought it was all an act.
Oh, he's using it as a marketing tool. I mean, the word that just leaps to mind is hypocrisy.
The Heart Attack Grill.
The Heart Attack Grill.
Its name, get this, the Heart Attack Grill.
Dr. John Basso. John Basso owns the Heart Attack Grill.
We're past the point of no return at the Heart Attack Grill. We have blood on our hands at this point.
Many times I've heard the phrase, all publicity is good publicity, and I've always tended to not believe that. I've always tended to disregard that. But after I tell you what I've learned in this video today, I'm starting to believe that saying is true. Las Vegas, Sin City, one of the most infamous and beloved towns in the United States. There are many places which can be considered tourist traps, which, to be fair, some of them definitely are. One of the many tourist traps that plague the city is a not so humble little establishment called the Heart Attack Grill. No, I'm not joking. Over the years, this place has got a reputation as being like one of the most controversial and infamous restaurants in all of America due to the insane themes and decor of the restaurant, the horrifically unhealthy food, and the absolute madman of an owner. Like, for real, you want to stick around to the end of this video. This dude has like a whole Joker backstory. It's insane. But before all that, I want to tell you what you can expect upon a visit to Heart Attack Grill. Immediately upon arriving on the outside, before you even enter the restaurant, you will be greeted with a scale and a sign. The sign reads, over 350 eat free. You can then weigh yourself on the scale, and if you're over 350 pounds, you get your whole meal for free. Now that sounds pretty bad, doesn't it? Oh baby, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Now, every restaurant, well obviously except for a fast food place, will have waiters or waitresses, standard stuff. Then you have a place like, let's say, Hooters, where the waitresses will dress in very revealing outfits, pretty objectifying, and, in my opinion, pretty exploitative as well. Then you have a place like Heart Attack Grill, where all the waitresses are dressed up like a nurse, you know, like the whole like revealing nurse outfit stick. Every single waitress has to dress up like that. And it gets even worse. If you're over 350 pounds, like I mentioned earlier, and you finish all your food, you get your own personal nurse that will wheel you out to your car in a wheelchair after you're done with your food. But what happens if you don't finish your food? Well, you get, and I'm not joking, you get a spanking. Yeah, that's right. You get a spanking with a paddle if you don't finish your food. Now, I've heard stories where some people like don't finish their food and they just left the restaurant like without it. But most people who do enter the restaurant, if they don't finish the food, usually they just accept it, which I don't even want to know why. Something that applies for every single customer is that no matter whether they're large, whether they're small, whether they're adult, or whether they're a kid, please don't take your kids to this place. You have to wear a hospital gown. On the walls of the place, you'll find various posters referencing movies like Star Wars or Clockwork Orange, two of my personal favorites. You'll also find like homages to albums like Quadrophenia, which is the best Who album, by the way. But instead of, you know, featuring beloved artwork, it mostly references the restaurant. That all pales in comparison to the big one, which is, and I'm not joking, a huge mural which is a parody of The Last Supper, but instead of Jesus Christ, it's the restaurant owner John Basso. More on him later. Now then, let's talk about what the restaurant actually serves on its menu. Now, the first menu item, and I guess the most common menu item, is a burger called the Single Bypass Burger for $12.78. I think that's what outrages me the most. Like $12.78 for one burger without fries. Now, I said the single bypass burger, which, haha, bypass, funny name. That is the most normal burger you can get. That is not what makes this restaurant infamous. You can get a double bypass burger. You can get a triple bypass burger. You can get a quadruple bypass burger. The quadruple bypass burger, by the way, is like the highest calorie burger in the Guinness World Records. It's like 9,983 calories. We're still not done. The main burger and the one that makes it really infamous is called the octuple bypass burger. I didn't even know what octuple meant. Like when I was writing this video, the software I used to write the script, it didn't even have octuple in its dictionary. The octuple bypass burger is 8 patties. Yeah, 8 patties on one burger. And there's also like cheese and for some reason chili on it, which I don't know why you put chili on your burger. So remember when I said the quadruple bypass was like 9,983 calories? So obviously I'm gonna be off by some, but that would make the octuple bypass burger at least 20,000 calories. One burger. Without fries, let me add. But remember, I said without fries. I decided to put the sides in their own little section because you have to order them separately. So you have the fries, which you know every burger chain is gonna have fries. Heart Attack Grill is no different. Except these fries are cooked in pure lard, thus giving them the title, the Flatliner fries. You can also get the loaded fries, which are the Flatliner fries, but instead there's like cheese, chili, and bacon just dumped on top of it. Once again, all cooked in pure lard. And you know, other typical sides as well. You can get onion rings, you can get jalapeno poppers, and you can get mozzarella cheese sticks. Once again, all cooked in pure lard. Now, after all that food, you're probably gonna want something to wash it down with, and don't worry, the Heart Attack Grill has you covered. You can get red and white wine. Why you would have wine with a burger, I have no idea, but you know, you can get it. Except the wine is served in an IV bag. You can also get drunk off the many craft beers they serve, along with many other different types of cocktails and vodkas, even tequila and rum. But, in terms of drinks, the real star of the show is the Butterfat Shake. Yes, it is a shake made entirely from butterfat. It sounds absolutely disgusting, and it looks absolutely disgusting. Like, it looks like diarrhea. I don't know how else to describe it. But, you know, if you don't want to, you know, physically explode like that one scene from The Meaning of Life, you can order normal drinks like Coke, Dr. Pepper, even bottled water. But just to put the cherry on this turd sundae, there's one more thing on the menu I want to mention. This one's probably the worst. You can buy unfiltered cigarettes. Yeah, they sell unfiltered cigarettes. And not only that, for the kids, you can get them candy cigarettes. like it's terrible, like it's awful in every single way, but like it's funny how awful it is. Like I would never go to this place in a million years, but like it's like absurd how terrible it is. Oh, one last thing. Even the bathrooms are in poor taste. So like on the urinal stalls, there's like these murals where it depicts like 2 of the nurses making comments about size. This is a PG channel, so I can't really go into too much detail. Oh, and this was kind of funny. During the 2016 election, I'm sure you remember it was a very divisive time. On the urinal stalls, there are printout pictures, or there were printout pictures, of both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. Which means, can't say this place is politically biased. Now, that's the actual restaurant itself. Which, I mean, there's a lot more I could go over, but that's just a basic little rundown of it. What I really want to talk about is the history and events that surround the restaurant, and specifically its owner, one by the name of Dr. John Basso. So get this, John Basso, who is the creator and owner of Heart Attack Grill, still is to this very day, actually started his career in fitness. Yeah, from high school to college, Dr. Basso always wanted to pursue a career in fitness. Oh, how the times have changed. After finishing college, Basso opened the chain of Jenny Craig weight loss centers, which, if you don't know what those are, they're essentially those fitness centers that you would find in strip malls. Not usually a good idea to trust these places. You're much better off consulting with an actual medical doctor. He was the owner, janitor, operator, and personal trainer. He would prescribe people diets that would supposedly help with their weight loss, which, once again, always consult with an actual licensed doctor for information like that. However, behind the scenes, Basso did not like his job. He did not like the false promises. He did not like to have to essentially lie to people. And over time, he began to resent his job more and more and more and more. His resentment of his job would only increase when he was filed a lawsuit. I should probably mention, not only did he own the Jenny Craig centers, he also owned his own little branch of weight loss centers, which was called In-N-Out, which my West Coast viewers will probably know what I'm talking about, but if you're on the East Coast, In-N-Out is like a very popular burger chain there, but it's only on the West Coast. The lawsuit would essentially put an end to his In-N-Out chain and probably his ownership of the Jenny Craig chains as well, because, you know, winning a lawsuit against a large corporation like that, essentially zero. This would give Basso an idea. This is in his own words. Let me read this to you. But after a year and a half of battling with them, I realized that, okay, I'll sell my gyms. I'll get out of the business. I'll do whatever they're requesting. But I won't ever stop fighting. I'll enter their industry with a whole different angle, a whole different gimmick. This in turn gave him the idea to start his own burger chain. Instead of the usual stuff you see at a burger establishment, his restaurant will be absolutely blunt, brutal, and honest. In 2005, Basso entered the semi-large city of Tempe, Arizona, about 8 miles east of Phoenix. He then founded the small joint known as the Heart Attack Grill. His staff composed of himself and one other janitor, who actually stuck with him until at least 2012, although I can't find any information on him after that. As time went on, the restaurant would develop a lot of its decor and its infamous menu. It was also getting a lot of media attention. In 2008, CBS did a story on the place and conducted one of the first television interviews of Basso. The following year, the Travel Channel show Extreme Pigouts did their own segment on the restaurant, and in 2011, he sat down with ABC for what is probably his most well-known and most notorious television appearance. Now, at this point in the restaurant's history, they had a bit of an unofficial spokesperson, a man by the name of Blair Rivers. He weighed 570 pounds.
I'm up another few inches. Who needs these old pants? I get to eat for free. And thanks to our new healthcare law, I don't have to pay for my own medical bills either.
I said had because a week before the ABC interview, Rivers would tragically pass away at the age of 29 due to pneumonia. It would be the first death of a Heart Attack Grill spokesperson. It would not be their last. 2 days before his death, Rivers contracted the flu, an illness which a man his age should be easily able to survive. But because of his weight, it just wasn't possible. Basso himself said that his diet and the food from Heart Attack Grill increased his weight gain, which would in turn decrease his survival rate by a good tenfold. During the ABC interview, Basso was asked about Rivers' death. Take a look.
Every single person cared about Blair. Had he have been thinner, he most probably would have survived that pneumonia. And that's a hard fact that I'm not here to deny.
Later on in the video, Basso would be asked if he was glorifying Rivers' death. Here's his response.
There's an argument to be made that you used this guy during his life, and that now you are very morbidly using his death to continue to promote your restaurant.
I absolutely agree. And in a very sick way, his death has gotten the message out further.
So this man's death has not given you pause at all?
Zero pause.
Lastly, I want to show you guys one more clip from the interview where he's asked if he had a conscience or not. Take a look.
With him.
Do you have a conscience at all?
My conscience is simply this. What would Blair hovering above me want me to do right now? And Blair would say this, put back on the stethoscope. Let's keep being the doctor that everyone loves to hate, because that really gets the message out.
In a weird, twisted sort of irony, Basso would be correct in the assumption that the death of Rivers would bring more popularity and more publicity to his restaurant. The Arizona restaurant closed just a few months after the interview. They briefly relocated to Dallas, but that didn't really work out. But this would be around the time that he found his permanent stay in Las Vegas. It would be at this location that many more of the infamous menu items we discussed earlier would be introduced, and many more health incidents would occur. On February 11, 2012, a diner would suffer a heart attack while inside the restaurant. A lot of fellow patrons thought the man was doing a gag and began taking photo and video of him, but stopped once it became very clear that this was real. Thankfully, the customer was taken to the hospital on time and survived the incident. A week later, an anti-meat group out of DC called on Basso to permanently close the restaurant and declare moral bankruptcy. However, Basso refused. 2 months later, a patron fell unconscious at the establishment while consuming a meal and drinking alcohol and smoking. Which, can I just add, if I go into a restaurant and I smell cigarette smoke, I'm leaving immediately. That is disgusting. Thankfully, the customer turned out to be okay. It's here that we reach the most recent incident that occurred at the Heart Attack Grill. A man by the name of John Ellman, who had his incident in February 2013. According to Basso, Ellman ate, lived, and breathed Heart Attack Grill. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, by the way. Unlike the last two victims, Ellman would not quite be as lucky. In February of that year, 52-year-old Ellman would eat a typical meal at Heart Attack Grill. After he would finish, he would wait at the bus stop right outside the restaurant. At the bus stop, he would suffer a massive heart attack. 1 week later, he would be taken off life support. As with Rivers, this death would only increase the publicity of the restaurant. And since it's now 2013, YouTube would also be a big platform for the place. Many YouTubers would come to the place and portray it in a much more positive light, actually. You have famous food tubers like Matt Stoney doing eating challenges there. I'm pretty sure Basso even makes an appearance in the video. Also not to mention the 6 separate times the infamous mukbang YouTuber Nikocado Avocado made videos there.
I don't speak Spanish!
I swear to God, he enters these videos like a freaking jump scare. Lastly, I want to talk about how the restaurant promotes itself on the internet. See, a big resource for this video was the actual website itself. Upon entering the website, you'll find a link for an HBO special that featured the restaurant and Basso, as well as the worst video player I have ever used in my entire life. You have the infomercial, which runs for 30 minutes, and okay, this video deserves its own section, but just to save time, I'm just gonna do a breakdown of the highlights. Throughout the video, Basso is prominently featured in a Bond villain-like style background, lighting and all. He looks absolutely horrifying. The promoters are people only known as Actual Fat Guy and Immobile Hospital Patient. There is very shameless use of footage of Rivers while describing the side effects. By the way, this was uploaded 6 years after Rivers died. And finally, it even includes appearances from celebrities such as Ron Jeremy. This is off topic, but how did anyone even find him remotely attractive? They have various videos on their site and images as well showing process of the food and images of the food for use in, say, news reports or YouTube videos. They also have a theme song. They have a freaking theme song.
For baby, that's the taste that's worth dying for.
And they have the area where you would apply for a job, and it's exactly what you would expect. You know, while I was writing this video, I didn't really have a thesis. It was just going to be an exploration of this really strange restaurant. But as I was writing, a question kept popping up into my head. Does the Heart Attack Grill have blood on its hands? And honestly, I don't know. I really don't. You could definitely make the argument because look at the freaking place. But then again, what about a place like Wendy's or McDonald's where they also serve unhealthy burgers that have probably contributed to far more deaths than the Heart Attack Grill? And also, unlike, say, Burger King, they won't tell you what happens if they eat their burgers over and over and over again. Heart Attack Grill will. But then you have things like the nurse outfits, and feel free to disagree with me, obviously, but I've just never seen the appeal of that. All cons, no pros, to me at least. In the end, make your own assessment about the Heart Attack Grill. I honestly don't know if I have an answer or not, but let me throw it at you. Do you think Heart Attack Grill is an evil establishment that's aiming to kill people, or is it waking people up to the horrors of unhealthy food, or is it just another Las Vegas tourist trap? Let me know in the comments below. But before we go, one last clip from that ABC interview.
What share of the responsibility do you have for his death?
The equal share with anybody who provided junk food to anybody.
Aren't you glorifying obesity, which obviously kills?
Absolutely. I think it would be immoral to stop at this point.
Explain that to me.
We're past the point of no return at the Heart Attack Grill. We have blood on our hands at this point.
That's the Heart Attack Grill. It's not going anywhere anytime soon, and it looks like its doors are going to be staying open for a very long time. Thanks for watching. Peace.
We don't do Diet Coke. We don't do light beers. We don't even provide lettuce on our burgers.
Patients eat it up. But in this diet-conscious age, why?
Because they're sick and tired of reading everything else out there, telling them, hey, this is bad for you, don't do it. And they think one golden